AntonioGarciaBooks.com presents Silent Dance of Death, written and read by Antonio Garcia. Become a patron on Patreon to see the behind-the-scenes recording of this podcast, and please take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll give you a shout-out in a future episode. As I lie here bleeding to death, feeling my life slip away, I look around confused, wondering where I am and how I got here. Through blurry eyes, I look at the cops, still aiming their guns at me. I look at the crowd of people gathering just outside the perimeter of the row of squad cars. I moan as I try to recall what had happened. How did I go from a night out with friends to lying here on the asphalt bleeding to death? I try to remember what had led me here, but all I can remember was having a good time. I try to replay the night's events in my head. "Get up, lazy!" my friend Sean shouts as he jumps on me. I can't help but laugh and push him off. I look over at our girlfriends getting ready and smile. I jump up and quickly get dressed. It was the weekend and we were ready to paint the town red. We were heading to a new silent disco club to try it out. We've heard of them before, but have never been to one. Silent disco clubs were like normal dance clubs, except instead of the DJ playing music out loud, everyone wears headsets and listens to the music to them. To a passerby, the dance floor would be full of idiots dancing to nothing. Needless to say, we were excited. We pounded our glasses of tequila on the counter and took the shots. We all made our individual grimaces and let out a whoop. We jumped in Sean's car and headed out to the new club, the radio blasting. "Anybody know what to expect?" Emily, Sean's girlfriend, asked. "I've only heard of them, so not really," my girlfriend Sarah answered. The excitement was overwhelming, and we bounced around the car getting ourselves ready for another amazing night out together. Once at the club, we stood there, mouths agape, staring at the crowd of people in the warehouse dancing around in silence. It was one thing to see it on YouTube or hear about it, but it was another to be standing there for the first time seeing it in person. Some people just swayed, others bounced around like apes. All of a sudden, we broke out laughing. Couldn't help ourselves. It was such a funny sight to see. After a few minutes of taking it all in, we followed the signs to where they handed out the headsets. We paid our cover and each grabbed a pair. We walked to the edge of the dance floor, stopped and looked at each other, and then put our headsets on. In that moment, we seemed to be transported to another dimension. 1 second, we were watching people dance to nothing. The next, the music filled our ears and now we seemed like the odd ones out. Almost immediately, we began bouncing up and down to the music and jumped onto the dance floor. The music was completely immersive, and it felt like any other club, but with only music and with no sound of people talking or shouting that usually accompanies the music in a regular club. As Sarah grinded on me, I took a moment to look around to see if anybody wasn't dancing. I saw people walking to the bar and a few off in the corner talking. It looked like whenever they went to go get a drink or talk, they merely took their headsets off and talked normally. Curious, I wanted to try that too. I grabbed Sarah's hand and led her off the dance floor. Once we were off, I took off my headset and seeing me, Sarah did the same. Immediately the music was gone and the warehouse was silent again, except for the few people talking. I couldn't get over how weird it all seemed. The music and talking segregated was awesome, but also unnatural. "Would you like a drink?" I asked Sarah. "Sure," she replied. We went to the bar and ordered our drinks. As we drank, I looked around the warehouse to get a better look. I saw the DJ on some elevated scaffolding wearing his own pair of headphones. We stayed at the bar, but saw that there were a few tables scattered around for people to sit, drink, and talk. I saw a man who looked like the manager make his way to the DJ booth and handed what looked like a USB to the DJ. The DJ smiled as he took it and nodded. I don't know why, but the DJ's smile seemed menacing and sent chills up my spine. "I want to go back on the dance floor," Sarah pleaded. I quickly finished my drink, put my headsets back on, and let her lead me back. It didn't take long before I forgot about the DJ and got back to dancing like an idiot. As I danced, I thought I could hear a high-pitched sound in the background, but it was subtle, and I couldn't be sure I was hearing it at all. I felt someone nudge me from behind, and when I turned around, I saw the manager dude handing out shots. Everyone was doing the shots he had handed out and putting the empty shot glasses back on the tray he was carrying, so I did the same. After the shot, I could feel the familiar buzz kick in. I looked around and saw everyone having a good time. Suddenly, across the dance floor, I saw a man headbutt his girlfriend, blooding her nose. As she started to fall to the ground, I blinked, but when I reopened my eyes, they were dancing like normal. I thought it was strange, but for some reason, I still felt relaxed and euphoric. I continued to dance, getting back into the groove. I casually glanced back and saw the man that had headbutted his girlfriend, now on top of her, punching her like he was in a rage. I tried to focus my eyes to make sure I was seeing what I thought I was seeing, when all of a sudden, they were both back up and dancing like normal. That high-pitched sound in the background of the music was barely audible but constant. I looked around, but it didn't look like anybody else could hear it. Since it was my first time ever doing anything like this, I just assumed it was normal, so I went back to dancing. I tried to shake it off and just enjoyed dancing with Sarah. I closed my eyes and let the music fill me. I wasn't going to let my buzz wear off by overthinking. A few minutes later, I opened my eyes to look at Sarah and almost went into a shock from what I saw. As I looked around the room, I saw everybody fighting. It didn't look like anybody in particular was the instigator. It looked like everyone just decided to start punching each other. I turned to make sure Sarah, Sean, and Emily were okay, when I not only saw Emily kicking Sean, who was laying in the fetal position on the ground, but when I looked at Sarah, my hands were wrapped around her neck. Seeing the fear in her eyes, I immediately let go. When I released my grip, everyone was back to dancing like normal. Everyone was dancing and having a good time. Sarah was looking at me quizzically. I saw her lips moving, but I couldn't tell what she was saying. I reached up to take my headsets off, but when I put my hands up, I realized I wasn't wearing them. How can I still hear the music? I asked myself. Why can't I hear what Sarah is saying? I started to panic. All I wanted to do was run. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to wrap my mind around what was happening. When I opened my eyes, I found myself strided over Sarah with my hands wrapped around her neck once again. This time her lifeless eyes stared back at me. Around me, the entire warehouse was in chaos. Everyone was back to fighting each other, except now there were lifeless bodies scattered around. I looked over to see Emily stomping on Sean's head. I took one more look at Sarah, and then ran towards Emily, tackling her hard to the floor. Are you alright? I could see Sarah mouthing as we danced. Everyone was back to dancing to the music. I put my hands to my head and felt the headsets again, but when I tried to take them off, they wouldn't budge. It was like they were glued to my head. As Sarah reached her hands to me, she vanished and I was over her, bashing her head into the concrete floor. That high-pitched sound became louder. I stood up and began to run away from the chaos when I bumped into a guy dancing with his girl. He looked at me with mild concern, but seeing that I didn't really pose a threat, went back to dancing with her. I looked back in time to see Sarah getting Sean and Emily's attention. She was pointing at me and seemed deeply concerned. They took off their headsets and walked towards me. Half of me wanted to run towards them, and half of me wanted to run away from this place. For some reason, I looked at the DJ. He was still on the scaffolding bouncing to the music, but now he was doing it with an evil smile, and he was looking right at me. I turned back to look at my approaching friends, but instead saw the warehouse full of dead bodies laying on the ground. Horrified, I turned and ran out of the warehouse, still wearing my headset. I tugged at them as I ran down the street. When I reached the corner, I saw a group of people on the other side. They were dancing in place but weren't wearing any headsets. I ran towards them for help. As I approached, they stopped dancing and looked at me terrified before going back to dancing. The music was so loud, and the high-pitched sound in the background never stopped. My head felt like it was about to explode. I closed my eyes in pain. When I opened them again, I was straddling one of the people. Somehow a rock had appeared in my hand and I was bashing a man's head in with it. Two men were trying to pull me off while a couple of women were off to the side, looking like they were screaming, though I couldn't hear anything because of the music. I closed my eyes and pushed off with my legs. I fought myself back into a wall behind me. When I opened my eyes, the same group was back to where they were originally, and back to dancing with each other. I couldn't figure out how they could hear the music without the same headsets I was wearing. I had to get away, though I didn't know where to go, so I just started running. As I ran, I felt a sharp pain in my gut, like someone had stabbed me. When I looked down, I saw blood seep into my shirt. I immediately stopped running and looked behind me to see what had happened. Not far behind me were the 3 squad cars with police officers dancing just outside them. They looked happy and I knew they would help me, so I started running towards them. I was almost to them when, instead of dancing, they were facing me with their sidearms trained on me. Suddenly, I felt an explosion of pain from different parts of my body. I felt pain in my legs, arms, and torso. I was surrounded by a rainbow of colors. I could feel myself falling, but it felt like a bad trip. Laying on the ground, I stared at the cops, moving closer to me cautiously. With my last bit of energy, I reached up to take off my headphones, but felt nothing. As the world turned dark, the music never stopped. I hope you enjoyed this reading of my short story, Silent Dance of Death. Become a patron on Patreon to see the behind-the-scenes video of the short story podcast. Please remember to take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every new subscriber will get a shout-out in an upcoming episode. These short story podcasts are uploaded every week to YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Instagram, IGTV, Patreon, Reddit, and my website, AntonioGarciaBooks.com. There, you can also order a signed copy of my mystery novel, Sins of the Fathers, and pre-order my upcoming fantasy novel, Black Knight. You can show your support by becoming a patron on Patreon. Follow me on Goodreads, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Reddit, and Spreaker, all of which are listed on my website. Again, I hope you enjoy the short story and you join me again next week.